My name is Rachel Parker. I am 35 years old, and I built my life from scratch while quietly funding everyone else's. For years, I was the family's silent financial backbone, the one they called when the roof needed fixing, when vacations needed booking, when emergencies needed solving, always with the promise that I was investing in family, always with the unspoken expectation that I would never ask for anything in return. What they never told the relatives, what they carefully hid behind my father's proud smile and my mother's perfectly pressed dresses, was the truth. My father's so-called retirement package was nothing more than a gold watch and a modest pension that barely covered their monthly bills. Everything else, the beach condo they bragged about, the luxury trips, the comfortable life they displayed to the world, was funded quietly, consistently, and entirely by me, routed through my LLC so that my father could maintain his image as the family patriarch and provider. I never complained. I never demanded recognition. I simply kept the ledger, kept the contracts, and kept a thick folder in my home office labeled contingency in neat block handwriting. I had prepared it 3 years ago, on the day I first realized that some people will only stop taking from you when you stop giving. I hoped I would never need it. I was wrong. The night everything changed, I stood in the Grand Hotel lobby dressed in my tailored navy suit, ready to attend the family celebration I had secretly financed from start to finish. The venue was rented under my LLC. The gourmet catering with the champagne fountain my mother had insisted was essential was charged to my business account. The airline tickets for relatives flying in from across the country were all processed through my corporate card. I never made it past the lobby. My father's voice carried across the marble floors, loud and deliberate, cutting through the soft background music and polite conversation. "Get this beggar out." The security guard's hand hovered near my elbow, not quite touching me, embarrassment flickering across his face. My mother's eyes darted away from mine, refusing to make contact. My sister Victoria's lips curled into that familiar smirk I had seen since childhood, the one that said she had won again. I did not scream. I did not cry. I straightened my back, maintained eye contact with the security guard to signal I would leave with dignity, and walked steadily through the marble corridors and down to the parking garage where my car waited. Only after I had closed the door did I allow my hands to tremble slightly as I opened my banking app. The cancellations took less than 20 minutes. $7,200 in banquet catering, cancelled. $12,000 in Victoria's Maldives honeymoon flights, revoked. $4,800 in my mother's spa weekend with her book club, terminated. $52,000 in beach condo monthly payments, frozen. By the time I pulled into my driveway, my phone was vibrating continuously. First my parents, then my sister, then numbers I did not recognize. Then came the pounding at my front door. Through the peephole I saw Victoria's husband Jared, his face flushed crimson, shirt wrinkled and half untucked. I silently slid the deadbolt into place and reached for the contingency folder. "You need to fix this right now," he shouted through the door. "They cancelled our food, the hotel won't release the rooms, and our honeymoon tickets got voided while we were literally checking in online." I leaned against the door frame, the solid wood between us. "Strange," I replied, keeping my voice neutral. "Sounds like someone didn't verify who actually owned those payments." He blinked. "You did this because they kicked you out." "No," I said, feeling oddly calm. "I did this because they forgot the fundamental rule of biting the hand that feeds you. Make sure that hand isn't holding all the receipts." I held up the folder, thick, tabbed, color-coded, signed contracts with my LLC listed as financial sponsor, cancellation clauses with my signature as sole authority, payment reversals processed within the hour of their betrayal. "I warned them 3 years ago," I said. "If they treated me like a bank, I would start acting like one." He threatened lawyers. He threatened to take it higher. But here is the thing about financial hierarchies. You cannot climb higher than the person who holds the ledger, the contracts, and the backup drive. By morning, my inbox contained 32 new messages. Some politely pleading, some openly threatening, all tinged with panic. My mother wrote that emotions had been high and asked if we could talk. My father sent nothing directly, only a forwarded invoice from the venue, now unpaid and demanding immediate settlement. But my favorite came from the family group thread I had been removed from years ago, a screenshot sent by my cousin. "Rachel's always been sensitive. She'll come crawling back. She always does." I laughed aloud in my empty kitchen, then replied to the entire group with a single line. "Just a reminder. I own the crawl space and I've changed all the locks." No one responded. That afternoon, an unexpected message arrived from Franklin, my parents' accountant. He had noticed certain irregularities. Specifically, that payments for their beach condo had not been coming from their family trust as they had claimed, but from an LLC he could not identify. My parents had given him my email years ago when I first started handling their tax documents, and he had kept it on file. When we spoke, I confirmed his suspicions and asked the question I had been waiting 3 years to voice. Have they declared that condo as their asset in annual filings? The silence stretched for several seconds. They've claimed it as an inheritance gift from a private family investor, he finally admitted. No documentation provided. So they had not just been ungrateful. They had committed fraud. Used my generosity to build equity in a property I technically still owned under my company's name. I called my attorney Tiffany before the hour was up. Within 48 hours, the papers were drafted. A cease and desist for slander, misrepresentation, and unauthorized use of funds, plus a property reassignment filing that removed any verbal claim my parents had over the beach condo. "They'll try to call your bluff," Tiffany said, sliding the documents across her polished desk. I smiled. They already did. That banquet was the bluff. The process server confirmed delivery an hour later. That night, a voicemail from my mother. Tearful, rambling, accusatory. "You're destroying us over what?" "A misunderstanding. You always do this, always so dramatic. If you follow through with this, people will talk. Church, the neighborhood, your father's reputation. It was always about appearances, the illusion of unity, the performance of love rather than its reality." I let the voicemail sit unanswered. The next morning, confirmation arrived from my accountant. Beach condo title finalized. It was done, legally and irrevocably. The crown jewel of their social standing was now permanently separated from their financial portfolio, and the taxes they had dodged were filed with interest. I replied to Tiffany's follow-up email immediately. Full audit. Start with the family trust. I want to know where every dollar went since 2017. The trust audit peeled back layers I had not imagined existed. $18,700 withdrawn the week I graduated college, labeled emergency repairs but actually a kitchen renovation for Victoria. $9,000 marked as education expenses that funded front-row concert tickets and a spa weekend for my mother. $34,000 funneled into my father's vintage Mustang restoration, a car he once described as his reward for raising such responsible children. They had bled that account dry, then had the nerve to call me the beggar. We filed a motion requesting financial recompense plus trust misuse documentation. They had 30 days to respond or settle privately. That is when the mask finally cracked. A text from my mother. "I'm scared, Rachel. Please don't ruin the family over money. We'll make it right." I stared at it for a long time. No apology. No ownership. Just fear, the only language they truly understood. I responded with a single line. "You're confusing ruin with reveal." Victoria posted a filtered sunset on Instagram with a lengthy caption about knowing who her real family was. I did not comment. They could say whatever they wanted online, but in court, every word required proof, every signature could be traced, every dollar had to be accounted for. Suddenly the daughter they had dismissed as dramatic had become the authority they had to answer to. Their lawyer reached out on day 22. He offered a private settlement, $50,000 in restitution, no admission of wrongdoing, and a mutual non-disclosure agreement. Tiffany chuckled when she read it. They're trying to seal the cracks before the neighbors peek in. But I did not want money. I wanted a record. Proof that I was not just the black sheep but the scapegoat, the silent benefactor, the unpaid lifeline. We declined. On day 25, my father broke his silence. He appeared at my office, the business they had once dismissed as my little side gig, but that now employed 27 people across 2 states. He stood in the doorway, hat literally in hand, pride barely clinging to his shoulders. "You've made your point," he said. "But you're about to ruin us. Are you proud of that?" I looked at him, the man who had once told a room full of relatives that Victoria was the real success story, and replied calmly. "No. I'm not proud. I'm tired. Tired of funding your life while being written out of your legacy." He placed a folded check on my desk, blank, signed. I slid it back across the polished surface. "This was never about your money," I said. "It was about mine." When he left, I opened my email. Trust disbursement fraud. Preliminary hearing scheduled. The hearing date spread through the family like a cracked pipe. My cousin texted to let me know everyone was talking, confirming what I already suspected. They had never believed I would really go through with it. They never do. They expect silence. They expect shame. They expect the one they have pushed aside to keep the peace while they feast. But this time I was not the help. I was the witness. Tiffany and I prepared everything, timelines, account statements, screenshots of messages where I had been asked to just spot them this once. All the invisible IOUs made visible. The night before the hearing, Victoria messaged me for the first time since the banquet. "If you go through with this, I swear I'll never forgive you." No apology. No denial. Just a warning, as if my peace required her permission. I did not reply, because some people do not want reconciliation. They want reinstatement of the version of you who stayed quiet. When the court date arrived, I walked into the sterile courtroom feeling surprisingly calm. My parents sat across the aisle with stiff backs and a lawyer who kept checking his watch. The judge asked straightforward questions. Tiffany answered them with math. She projected charts onto a screen demonstrating how the condo payments came from my LLC, how the trust had been siphoned for personal gain, vacations, spa days, cars, all under the guise of family needs. The judge turned to me. "What outcome are you seeking, Miss Parker?" I stood, voice calm. "Truth on paper. That's all. Let the record match reality." She nodded. "Granted." With that, my name was no longer just a footnote in their finances. It was the headline. And for once, the room went quiet without anyone needing to escort me out. The judgment was not criminal, no handcuffs, no headlines, but it was binding. The court ordered restitution of misused funds back into the trust where they belonged. The condo title was permanently transferred to my name. My parents were removed from any future financial access to assets they had not earned. Tiffany called it elegant justice. I called it balance. Weeks passed. My phone stayed quiet, gloriously so. No requests, no emergencies, no guilt trip asks for just a little help this month. Then one envelope arrived, no stamp, no return address, just slid under my door. Inside, a single photograph from the family banquet, everyone dressed in silver and navy, clinking glasses under crystal chandeliers. In the background, blurry but unmistakable, was me, captured mid-turn, mid-leaving. The moment they erased me, memorialized by accident. On the back, in Victoria's familiar slanted handwriting, someone had written, "This was the moment it all fell apart." I held it for a long time, then walked it to my shredder. Because what fell apart was not family. It was the illusion of it, the one they had built with my money, my silence, and my desperate need to belong. And once that illusion burned away, what remained was not ashes. It was freedom. I created a new folder that day. Parker Foundation, a grant program for first-generation women putting themselves through school without family support. The initial funding came from a condo sale. Mine. 6 months later, I have had no direct contact with my parents or Victoria. Our relationship has ended by mutual unspoken agreement. Sometimes the healthiest family resolution is distance, maintained with the same quiet commitment I once gave to financing their lives. They called me a beggar. So I stopped giving. And suddenly, everyone remembered what I was worth.